time comes in the life of every race when people are driven by echoes of the past to chart a course for an exalted future. Africa is at this threshold. As major actors in the Africa arena plots a renaissance towards common destiny, let's pedal across the streams of yesterday, from the backstreets of Africa to the defining roles of policymakers, the political realities of the African nation, balance of power, and the strive to sustain national interest and identity. Join us on Network Africa on Channels Television. Network Africa, a rallying point for the emergence of a new Africa.
This week on Network Africa, Boko Haram strikes again. This time around, 29 students are killed in Yobe State in the northeastern part of Nigeria. Throats were slit, people were shot, and some were torched. Then the violence in South-Sudan continues. Efforts made by aid organizations are being jeopardized, and Malakal is literally a shadow of itself.
I'm really very, very moved by what I saw in Malakal. I was here 4 weeks ago with Valerie Amos, and it was a city that was coming back to life. Well, that life has come to an end.
Plus, Uganda signs an anti-gay bill into law, but it's at the expense of foreign aid.
But there are also, in the Swedish aid to Uganda, very important areas, supporting the civil society, improving healthcare and research and development that are important. So we see this as a Swedish long-term commitment to a partnership with Uganda, but this is a political issue that is quite problematic in the medium and short term, I must say.
And 1 year after the gory incident, victims of the Egypt hot air balloon accident are remembered. Welcome to Network Africa with me, Cynthia Are. It's been a rather bloody week right here in Nigeria. The Boko Haram sector struck again, and 29 students in Yobe State were killed by members of the sect. The insurgents reportedly arrived at the college at about 3 a.m. in 11 Hilux vans when the pupils were already asleep on Tuesday, February the 25th. They were said to have set locked hostels on fire before shooting and slitting throats of those who tried to climb out of the windows. Some were also burnt alive. There's a case of conflicting death toll, though. While the Yobe State Police Commissioner, Mr. Sanusi Rufai, says that Boko Haram members killed 29 of the students, an official at the Specialist Hospital Damaturu, Mr. Balajia, told Reuters by telephone that the death toll has actually risen to 59.
An eerie silence envelopes what ought to be a busy, boisterous atmosphere. There are no banters, no chatter, no argument. The reason for this is horrifying. Scores of these students have been murdered in cold blood. On a normal day, these classrooms would have been brimming with academic activities, but not on this day. These callous attackers are not content with spilling blood, they are intent on erasing all traces of education. This is not the type of tour that the Yobe governor Ibrahim Gaidan would like to undertake, but like the saying goes, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. After examining the mayhem that the attackers left behind, the governor wonders what would have been if security officials were on hand to quell the attack.
It was unfortunate that up to the 4-hour period or 5 hours of killings and massacre, there were no any security men around to contain the situation. So I think they should change in their strategy, and I will use this opportunity to call on the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or the Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Defense Staff, whoever is concerned, to send as a matter of urgency enough troops to Yobe so that they contain this kind of insurgencies.
The military says that it is and will continue to increase surveillance on schools and other vulnerable spots. The Director of Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade, in this telephone interview with Channels Television, assures Nigerians that the military is tracking the group that carried out the heinous attack.
Prior to that attack, they had succeeded in destroying telephone masts, which also prevented people from making distress calls that would reach out to the security agents to intervene. Well, at the moment, the routes that were used by them has been discovered and they have been trailed. We are very sure that very soon we'll track them, and that is the perpetrators. And the other method they use, which looks new, has also been discovered, which means subsequently will prevent such an approach. We still maintain that we believe we are aborting so many of their tricks. Only a few of them are appearing to be succeeding, and it's very unfortunate. But still optimistic that
it's a ruthless attack that sends shivers down the spine and an outpouring of grief. But none compares to the families of these slain students, not to speak of their classmates, roommates, friends and relatives. Yet another attack that should galvanize those in authority into action, as the nation hopes that these spate of killings are halted once and for all.
Now outside of Nigeria, South Sudan is in grave danger of being jeopardized based on incessant brutal attacks on medical facilities, especially because both patients and staff are being targeted. Hundreds of thousands of people have been effectively denied life-saving assistance as fighting between the government and the rebels since mid-December has displaced about 860,000 people in total. Now in this next report, we take a look at the town of Malakal, which has literally become a shadow of itself. Malakal, the capital of South Sudanese Upper Nile State, it's now been deserted with dead bodies in the streets and buildings demolished after fresh fighting erupted last week. The town has also been looted and burned.
The situation is nothing short of gory in South Sudan, particularly in the town of Malakal. United Nations peacekeepers who conducted patrols in Malakal reported that the town has been looted and burned, and hundreds of bodies were scattered along the road. Houses have been burned, vandalized, and the entire market area and even shopping stores have all been burned down. Malakal is currently deserted, except for the very few civilians and opposition soldiers spotted in some areas of the town. Patients at Malakal Teaching Hospital have been shot to death in their beds, and medical facilities have been looted and burned. While visiting Malakal, Lanza could be nothing short of moved by the disaster.
Really very, very moved by what I saw in Malakal. I was here 4 weeks ago with Valerie Amos, and it was a city that was coming back to life. Well, that life has come to an end.
The United Nations mission in South Sudan on Wednesday evacuated 1,756 people who were seeking shelter at the Catholic Church compound. Nationwide, tens of thousands are still crammed into UNMISS bases in fear of revenge attacks, and they are still worried about their safety and might face